Let me introduce you to James Baldwin, one of the most prominent writers of the American Civil Rights Movement, known for his essays, plays, and novels that featured themes that were considered controversial. James Baldwin was born on August 2, 1924, in Harlem, to a single mother named Emma Burtis Jones. Although he never knew who his biological father was, he had a stepfather. His mother married a Baptist minister named David Baldwin, who adopted James Baldwin as his son at 3 years old. However, James felt out of place in his family because of his relationship with his stepfather. James viewed his stepfather as strict and harsh. Therefore, he would often find escape from his stepfather through reading. He read so often that he claimed that at age 13 he had read most of the books in the 2 Harlem libraries. Despite this, James followed in his stepfather's footsteps and served as a youth minister during his teenage years. However, he soon came to the conclusion that Christianity was hypocritical and left the church. Although he left the church, he admitted that he truly never left Christianity and carried the themes of religion in his works. According to the Norton Anthology of American Literature, his immersion in Black biblical rhetoric earned Baldwin the rightful title and mantle of latter-day Jeremiah. Baldwin developed his passion for reading and writing at an early age. He attended Frederick Douglass Junior High and was in his school's literary club, where he edited the school newspaper and further developed his writing skills. The founder of the literary club was County Clinton, who was a prominent poet of the Harlem Renaissance. James went on to edit the school newspaper in high school and became friends with Richard Avedon, who he later collaborated with, who is also a well-known famous photographer. After high school, he had to look for several jobs to support his family. His stepfather passed away and James had to take care of 7 younger siblings. However, while looking for jobs, he experienced discrimination and was turned away because he was African American. Although James was constantly working, he still found time for his passion and continued to write. He started by writing several book reviews, until James wrote The Harlem Ghetto, an essay on Black anti-Semitism. Although it was considered controversial, this essay launched his career as a writer and created opportunities for him. In 1944, James met famous African-American writer Richard Wright. Wright became Baldwin's mentor and assisted him in producing his first novel. However, they often disagreed and their friendship eventually fell out. Go Tell It on the Mountain was Baldwin's first novel, published in 1953. The novel focused on the life of a young man growing up in Harlem and dealing with his father issues. Baldwin stated, "Mountain is the book I had to write if I was ever going to write anything else. I had to deal with what hurt me most. I had to deal, above all, with my father." In his works, James also discussed certain topics that were considered taboo. He was prominently known for containing characters that were homosexual in his novels. His novel, Giovanni's Room, focused on the story of an American man in Paris who struggled with feelings for another man. This novel was one of the first novels in America to discuss homosexuality. Despite the criticisms he received, he continued to discuss this theme in his future novels. Baldwin believed that sexuality was fluid and labels only restricted people. He was open about his sexuality and depicted the struggles he encountered through his novels. In an interview, James states his views on sexuality and how, although his novels discuss homosexuality, it is not the main focus.
And a man can fall in love with a man, a woman can fall in love with a woman. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It's not in the province of the law. It's nothing you do with the church. And if you lie about that, you lie about everything. And no one has a right to try to tell another human being whom he or she can or should love.
But when you wrote Giovanni's Room a long time ago, that was quite a brave book to bring out, wasn't it? It was about love, but it was about homosexual love, but it was about love. But you deliberately put in homosexual love, presumably.
Well, the boy is in the middle. It's not so much about homosexuality at all. It's about what happens to you if you can't love anybody. It doesn't make any difference whether you can't love a woman, you can't love a man, you can't love anybody. You're dangerous.
James Baldwin was also known for depicting the struggles of being an African-American man in America. Notes of a Native Son was one of his works that depicted the experience of an African-American man. He was very vocal about the discrimination in America, and because of this, he was considered one of the leading voices in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was an era of African Americans protesting for equality and to end segregation in the United States. He was friends with Martin Luther King Jr. and often wrote essays about the civil rights movement. Baldwin was very involved in the movement and therefore he was featured on the cover of Time magazine in 1963. Baldwin often experienced racial discrimination and even left Harlem to escape it. He left for Paris to escape racism and homophobia. In 1984, Baldwin stated in an interview that he felt as if his luck was running out and he was going to kill somebody or be killed. Therefore, he stayed in Paris until his death. He had stomach cancer and passed away on November 30th, 1987. Baldwin changed literature forever and fulfilled his mission to bear witness to the truths of the world. His work has made an impact on African American literature and he has inspired many.